I'm Nathan Berkeley, Associate Vice President for U.S. Strategies at the Religious Freedom Institute. I'm here at the International Religious Freedom Summit 2025 in Washington, D.C., and I'm joined by RFI Senior Fellow Todd Huizinga. Todd, welcome.
Thank you, Nathan.
So Todd is a scholar. Todd is a former U.S. diplomat. Give us a little bit about your background. What have you done professionally?
Well, at first I taught German at Calvin College in Grand Rapids. And then in 1992, I joined the State Department as a diplomat and worked for them for 20 years until 2012. Most of that time, I served at embassies and consulates in Europe, which gives me kind of the background and interest in Europe that causes me to be focused mainly on Europe in my work for RFI. I served 3 times in Germany, twice in Brussels, Dublin, Luxembourg, and then I served twice in Latin America as well, Costa Rica and Mexico, and once in the State Department and the Office of European Union Affairs.
Okay.
So that was till 2012, and since then, I've been doing similar things, I think, to what we're doing at RFI. Namely, I founded one nonprofit and worked for another nonprofit on international affairs generally. I founded the Transatlantic Christian Council with a friend from the Netherlands after leaving the State Department. And that was focused on bringing Christians together who are involved in public life across the Atlantic. We did several conferences and other things to make connections, and it was good. Then I joined the Acton Institute, which is located in my hometown of Grand Rapids, and was their international director for a few years. And since then, I've been associated with Religious Freedom Institute, promoting religious freedom in Europe. I've also been writing quite a bit, speaking quite a bit. I wrote a book about the European Union that I would recommend to all of your listeners. I can't help it, I'm sorry. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, so Todd, you've done a lot. What drew you to religious freedom work?
Well, I've always been very, very interested in religious freedom work. I'm a believing Christian, and I think religious freedom is the most important freedom, the first freedom in our Constitution, correctly, because religious freedom is what reflects, I believe, the Christian view of the human person. We are all made in the image of God, therefore we all possess equal and ineffable dignity, and as creatures made in the image of God, we must be able to have the freedom to pursue truth, transcendent truth, and to live according to whatever truth it is that we decide. Now, I'm very much a Christian. I hope everyone would choose Christianity, but it's not upon me at all to say that you can't choose any religion. So we need religious freedom for all, and that's what I'm very excited about working toward.
Excellent, excellent. And certainly means of coercion, intimidation, manipulation, these are not appropriate for seeking converts, right? So withholding those things and pushing those things back is clearly a part of what you think Christianity would teach.
Absolutely.
In addition to it being fundamental to religious freedom. As you look at the continent of Europe, what are the conditions surrounding religious freedom today? The sources of threat, the perhaps sources of hope as well. What do you see in Europe around religious freedom?
I think the situation in Europe is very similar to the situation in the United States and Canada, namely that we have societies that were built upon a Judeo-Christian consensus, and that consensus is breaking down as we secularize on both sides of the Atlantic. And I would say actually that a better word than secularize would actually be de-Christianize. The de-Christianization of our societies in the West has caused a growing problem for religious freedom. As we kind of lose those Judeo-Christian values, those Judeo-Christian beliefs that our societies were fed upon, a new way of looking at the human person has come to the fore, and in which seeking truth and living according to that truth and being obligated by that truth is transformed into a very human-centered way of looking at things, where human choice, individual choice, is what should guide everything. And you get all kinds of things that people choose and all kinds of views that come up that then militate against the faith of our fathers, so to speak, and the freedom to continue the faith of our fathers.
Yeah. Relatedly, and last question, talk a little bit about your breakout session yesterday, which I think dealt with a lot of these issues. What did you present? What was the breakout session focused on? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so the title of the session was Policing Religion in the Secularized West. And my remarks in that panel were basically what I just said to you. And the focus was on legislation because it was the legislate track. And so regarding questions about the legislation, I pointed out that one of the big problems, especially in Europe, that has been happening is that anti-discrimination law and hate speech law has been misused and misinterpreted to threaten the religious freedom of people of traditional faith. So Christians, Muslims, Jews, other religions that believe, for example, in marriage as the exclusive lifelong union of one man and one woman, and believe that the appropriate arena and anchor for the family is a marriage, is this union between man and woman. That's seen by many now as being bigoted. And so anti-discrimination law, more and more, is being used to silence those people, sometimes prosecute them. There's a woman in Finland, for example, who has been under investigation and on trial in various levels of the courts for 5 years for tweeting a Bible verse, which is controversial in today's value system. So I think what we need to do is we need to distinguish much more carefully, as a start, what we need to do. There's a lot of things we need to do, but as a start, we need to distinguish much more carefully between disagreement and discrimination. Disagreeing with others in our democratic, pluralistic societies is not discrimination. For example, it is not anti-gay to believe that marriage is the union of a woman and a man. By the same token, it is not anti-transgender to believe that there are two sexes, male and female. There is anti-gay bigotry. There is anti-transgender bigotry, and those things should be condemned. But believing in traditional male and female roles according to a religion is not bigotry. And so, rightfully, protections of religious freedom never impose a certain religion on everyone. By the same token, anti-discrimination law should not be misused to impose a new moral orthodoxy, let's say, on everyone in the society or on traditional religious believers. So I think clarifying our thinking is where we can start.
Yeah, that's great. And I know that you have worked on, with a coalition of others, a statement that addresses this, that would address these questions in Europe, this kind of legislation that would be an imposition on people of faith who practice the traditional faith, Jews, Christians, and others. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the high points of that statement, kind of what's included in it, and some of its objectives?
Yes, absolutely. I think the high point of the statement is making absolutely clear when we talk about supporting the religious freedom of traditional believers, that we're supporting those who believe in marriage as the lifelong union between one woman and one man, as the appropriate realm for human sexuality, and as the family as the anchor for children. And by the way, I want to give you credit, Nathan, because you formulated that particular clause, the best clause in the statement. So that's the statement makes very clear that that's what we're talking about, traditional religious believers, and declares on behalf of the member states of the Article 18 Alliance, which is an alliance of religious freedom, mainly made up of European countries and the United States. There are some others, but it's mainly Europe and the United States. And the focus is religious freedom for all. The focus is not that the government of Germany or the government of the UK or anybody in Germany or the UK or the US should believe in or have a traditional religious faith. No, it's about religious freedom for all. And we're very excited about it because we do hope that the member states of the Article 18 Alliance will sign this with no problem. They're democracies, they're pluralistic societies. Many of their own citizens are traditional believers, and it's about just underlining religious freedom for all in this time where in the West more and more traditional religious faith is under attack.
Well, Todd, thanks for your service to RFI. Thanks for your good work on this initiative, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you, Nathan.